There are stories that connect us to ourselves and to each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. Now, exclusively on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, your hosts, AJ and Natalie.
Hello, everyone. I am AJ.
And I am Natalie.
And we are your hosts of Soul Wanderings, heard here on Wednesday nights on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. Hope you are joining us live this evening on one of the many platforms that you can hang out with us on: Facebook, Rumble, X, or on live.kgradb.com. Yes. Yes. Okay, I'm in such a good mood tonight.
It's so good. I love your energy.
I love my energy too. It's been a long time coming. I go through bouts. It's in my design.
Mm-hmm.
Rest.
Melancholy's
and
a
then
thing.
re-inspired. She is back. I don't know how long this will last. Could be hours, could be days, could be a week.
Could be a lifetime. Just saying. That's a possibility.
The more I work on my design, the more it will be.
Yes. Peace is yours to just be had, you know?
So good. So good. Hi, how are you?
I am good. I got some sunshine today.
You did?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Can we just talk about that for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
We
Let's
have
do
not
it.
had sun where we live in a hot second.
Yes.
It has been some time. I am in love with today's weather.
I know.
And then it's going to snow again this weekend.
That's okay. It's the weekend thing. So can we just, do you notice this pattern? For some reason in Utah, we need to have weekend crappy weather on a fairly consistent basis.
Why
It
do you
happens,
think
it
that
comes around on
is?
the weekend. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so bizarre. I don't understand it. It's hogwash. I don't like it. Like, I have things I want to do, like put my patio back together now that spring is coming.
Right?
Because, patio sessions at AJ's
Ooh,
house.
let's do it.
A little fancy drink, a little
Yes.
fire.
Yes.
Some incense, some good music.
Something on the
Deep
grill.
conversation. I'm cooking.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. Oh, I cannot wait.
I'm down.
Yeah, ditto.
Just
ditto.
sit and chill
Anyone
out.
else want to come hang out with us? Please come and hang out with us.
That's right.
We're fun to hang out with, as a matter of fact. Well, I think we are.
We have fun hanging out.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about hanging out.
Okay, let's do it.
I've been hanging out in some spaces, not in person with people. Oh, heavens, no.
What kind of spaces would these be?
Me. I've been hanging out in some galactic spaces.
Oh.
It has been so good. So I don't know if I've mentioned that to anyone on here that I started a school.
Now's a good time.
I started a
school.
course. It is an in-depth. So right now I'm learning galactic history, and it is awesome.
Wow.
And all these times where I've gone in my dreams to all these places, right? In my dreams, because it does happen when I'm asleep. And then I come back to my body, but I'm not really always in my body. And I'm like, whoa, where am I? I left fragments of myself somewhere. Where am I? And all of these little pieces are starting to make sense. And I started flipping through my dream journal, like, this is what I saw.
Yes.
This is what the space looked like. And then I'm learning about this stuff, and I'm like, oh, what?
Oh my.
No, it is so rad. I feel like, oh, okay, how do I, when I had my NDE, and I always say, I want to go back home. And the people who have had NDEs, they have the same feeling of just like, it kind of feels like not as intense as that, but on that same frequency.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Like you're like, "Oh, that's home."
Well, there are parts about it that look familiar. I feel like I'm just doing things in other places a lot of times.
Sometimes it
And
feels like you get called back to your body and you have to hustle back
mhm,
because you only have so long when you're sleeping.
it's
Probably
true.
because you don't sleep
I don't.
for hours and hours and hours
Right.
and it's like you have to hustle back to your body and then you're not so it's a hurry. That's what my
Yeah.
intuition just wanted to tell you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's
I
like, "Oh, I gotta hurry back to my body because it can't be there.
I've been
It can't
told
wake up
so.
without me there."
Yeah, right? Yeah, and I've been told so many times things about, "Do you travel when you sleep?" And I'm like, "I have dreams." "No, you're traveling. You're doing this work here and there." And I hear it from different people who don't
Mhm.
even know me, right? They can just see, and then I've even had, like, a customer walk in and say, you're floating above your body.
Let's get you back
Let's
in
get
there.
you back in there." And I was like, "Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense why I'm, like, stumbling, dropping everything, don't remember how I got to work today." Like, whew, it is just so rad. I'm only on my 3rd day, but I'm having the best time,
Mhm.
and it's a couple of months long every day. Um, it's it's just really awesome. I'm just super excited. But it leads me to we're talking about, galactic, so universe, think universe and planets, and we have this big solar eclipse happening on April 8th.
Yeah.
And everyone's making a big deal out of it,
Well, it
okay? We've
seems
had a lot
yeah.
of eclipses and
Mhm.
and every time everyone's like, "Well, this one, you better hold on. This is the one." But supposedly this one here on April 8th is the one.
Well, what does
Like
that mean, though?
exactly. It's supposed to mean a lot of things. So, me going down the
Oh,
rabbit
yeah.
holes that I go because I
Investigator that you are.
investigate
Yes.
many, 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 many hours in the middle of the night when I am not traveling, I go on YouTube. And I'm like finding out what this is and what that is. Everyone has an opinion on what's going on with the solar eclipse.
Okay. What have you heard?
And there's people here in our chat room. Hello, everyone. I see you all piling in. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I know about the areas that they live and well, it looks like Maria for sure. There's some people that the eclipse is going to go across.
That they're gonna be in the
They're going to be
100%
in the line.
totality
Yeah.
or nearly.
Right. So, have you ever seen an eclipse? Side note,
Um, kind of that one that was like 2020, there was one, and I was
but it
outside just
wasn't
during
this one.
no, then but we were in the totality,
Yeah.
but during the time that I remember it being dim outside, and it was just different.
It was a little eerie, right? So what they're saying on these videos, that is one of them where you're gonna feel like kind of like, am I in my body? Like I'm feeling some certain sort of way because of the way that the planets are aligned and the eclipse takes place. I don't know, this and that. I don't get into that too much because I feel like I don't know. I won't pass judgment on it. I just feel like a lot of people say a lot of things, and this is my point. There has been so much fear
Yeah.
across these videos that I've watched. YouTubes, TikToks, Reels, whatever, that are creating this intense fear, around people, um, like getting undercover, like go in your house, don't be around people, don't be driving, don't be using electronics, this, that, and the other, because possibly it's connected with CERN. They're going to use that energy for this. They're going to use the fear vibrations for that. They're going to do whatever, whoever they are. So there's like all these stories, you guys. I probably don't need to repeat myself with all of them because, there's
People out there investigating too.
yeah, you guys are doing your work. You know what's up. And so I think it's great, right? It's a beautiful, big, huge event. Supposedly, this eclipse hasn't happened for like 200 years, and it can do a lot of things spiritually. And galactically, there's some kind of war going on, as we know. And this is supposed to do something along the lines with like people are possibly going to lose it spiritually, or all of their old stuff that they have just been stuffing away and not dealing with is all going to come to the
Oh, it's like
surface.
bringing it up.
So they're going to have to deal with it. So,
Ah.
there's like all this stuff. And I think it's crazy. It doesn't matter what the story is, that the agenda is to create the fear. And we understand like fear vibration is a very low vibration.
Right.
And the dark needs that low vibration to do the work that they're trying to do. So, no matter what you hear, just listen to me. On Monday, I want you to
I'm
raise
going
your
to
vibration.
say
Raise your vibration, okay? Don't negative self-talk. Don't judge. Eat healthy food. Meditate. Go be out in nature. Whatever it is to raise your vibe, do that.
Well, what was surprising, I was watching a simulation that was put on Facebook. And so someone had just simulated and was showing different states, and there was the sun and then the shadow
Mm.
passing over it. And the totality is only 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes.
Isn't that crazy?
Right. And so
And then the whole world's gonna come apart in 2 minutes. Natalie, did you hear?
I know. Isn't
It
that
is so
there are
scary.
some
I hope
people
you're
do you know
prepared.
what's actually gonna be so anticlimactic about this is the world will once the sun will come out tomorrow, peeps. It's there. It'll it's gonna come out after the
Guess
moon passes over
what?
its face. And if there is something so this is my practical side that said, "Okay, so the world comes apart." The world has come apart a lot of times throughout
Mhm,
our history. And do you know what always reestablishes itself? Society. Because when we're alive, we're obligated to life and we still have to do life and
mhm.
the dishes will still need to be washed even after the world falls apart.
I've also heard when it falls apart, like, it's a reset that takes us back to, whatever time when life was simpler, where we did things like bartering and we weren't destroying our planet. Our neighbors were helping each other with chores. We all got along,
Well, we
everything.
could do that without the world falling apart
Right. We can create our own utopia
or system
or whatever.
of barbecues
I
and
kind of
working
feel
each other
like,
out
yeah,
and
I kind of feel like I already am in my own little world. I'm just like
yeah.
outside of my world. I'm like, oh, that's going on. Not even paying attention to you.
I think that may be an aspect of where there is this overarching, like
Mm,
there is a lot of information. There has never been, now I don't know about all the way back to, the Alexandria and all those ancient places, but within the last several thousand years, we have so much information
mhm,
that is being discovered and brought up and documented and laid out and research and stuff in this modern age than ever before.
mhm,
Like nobody could absorb all the information that's available to us in our lifetime.
mhm.
And so this is this time. So much information comes out. So much information comes out. Yeah, it
And
does.
it's like every second.
Every
I
second.
if you guys were, like, really into watching every platform, you would be so overwhelmed.
Oh yeah. And you would never be able to like
Mhm.
live
No.
beyond the just observing the platforms. It's
Right.
like, well, okay, so then it's like instead of the fear, like you're saying,
Mhm.
just do life.
Yeah, don't
And what about people instead of the fear have wonder? So let's just
yeah,
put
let's
forward
switch
let's
that fear to
let's
wonder. That's
wonder
perfect.
about this the the bigger thing, like our
Mhm,
sun is so much bigger than the earth, and this fascinating this phenomenon that happens when the moon moves between the sun and actually darkens it in a section of the planet. Let's wonder about that, because wonder is a much, much higher vibration. You just
Mhm.
wonder
Yeah.
about, wow, it's these celestial bodies just do what they do. I think that that's an aspect of being human, is when you really come down to it, you realize that us humans are really not in control.
No, heavens no, we're a big giant
Even when we talk
experiment.
about this big whoever they are, they're gonna plan something, it's like the sun is bigger than any of those little aspects
Mhm.
or shenanigans or whatever plans are there.
Right. I just watched well, I should say I do watch, but I listen mostly because I'm a multitasker. Um, there's a show on Netflix that I watched over the weekend called 3 Body Problem.
3 body problem?
It's very interesting.
Hmm.
You talk about what you just talk about. I just thought, "Hmm, hmm, there's truth to everything." And there's so many movies that are out that, I kinda wonder, and I intuitively have a knowing, but that doesn't mean that it's true, that's just my knowing, that they're totally prepping us. Like, "Here you go, this is what's gonna happen, believe it, you'll be prepared. Don't, sucks to be you." They have an agenda,
Right.
and, I just it's, like, right in front of our eyes.
It's
It's happening right before us.
it is, but I have to say that do you have on whose authority? So this is a question, I think we've brought it up before. When you have your own personal authority and you have your own internal, pillars or,
Mm,
um we talked about this with the GPS, with you have your own guiding principles and you have
right.
your own authority, then honestly, that's not that's people can't co-opt that. Governments can't really co-opt that.
Right, right. But we do know
Yes,
everything is energy.
everything is
We know
energy.
this.
Oh,
You all
yes.
know this,
Yes.
which
And
means it
nothing can be
has a
created.
vibration.
Yes.
We all have the ability
It's
to
amazing.
navigate our own vibrational force.
That's right.
And so, bottom line, where's your vibration? What are you doing to elevate your vibration and assist others in elevating their vibration?
Right.
Get
Um,
clear with that.
that's true.
And it all begins even on the inside.
Oh,
So,
definitely on
what
the
thoughts are
inside.
you thinking? What food are you eating? What habits are you creating? All of that good stuff.
This is what I told someone this morning. Energy doesn't lie. It's actually the inside that dictates the energetic what your aura is broadcasting on on a regular basis is
Mhm.
what comes the inside stuff.
Right.
And so it doesn't lie, and we can pretend that we're all right or whatever. Everybody is aware, generally aware of their insides. Maybe not completely aware of their unconscious, but generally you're aware of what goes on the inside. If you
Mhm.
can't, if it needs to be cleaned up, it's important to clean it up and
Mhm.
stay healthy and treat your body well and eat things like when you think about your consumption, we were having a conversation earlier today about that diet. And the diet includes what you consume on multiple fronts,
Mhm.
more than just food. But what you consume food wise has a major impact on what your body, it's your fuel.
Mhm.
And so if you have a fish or a good fuel, then your body will run better. All of these aspects may seem like they're simple,
Mhm.
simple, not always easy, but these are the aspects of the human experience that
Right.
we talk about all the time. It's fun.
Whew, that food thing. I feel like I eat very healthy. It's what I drink
Oh,
occasionally that is not healthy. I mean, but I did get a smaller size.
so you're like,
I'm
I'll do
trying,
less.
okay?
Well, I feel like there's this aspect of being in a human body, which is just
Yeah, I like
all
what
you're an experimenter. So
yeah,
you also like you experiment with the
yes.
um what is it like to drink this other thing or this thing? And you're like, what works and what doesn't work?
Oh my gosh. Yes, all of that. Tonight, actually, our guest has psychic abilities. We should ask him what he's feeling on this whole
Oh, yes.
nonsensical situation that is going on. So, our guest tonight, I'm really excited. He reached out. He has been a guest on our show before and many, 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 many other shows. Like, you guys will know who he is if you haven't already seen the advertisement, just because he's all over the place. And um the last time I talked to him, I really wanted to go back and listen, but I just didn't have the time with school and everything. So I I thought it's okay because our show is all about being authentic and having organic conversation,
Right?
which we will do, which we did and we'll do again. And it was a couple of years ago. And so, lots has probably changed for him. And I can't wait to hear all about it. I'm really excited.
Oh, yes.
What are you most excited for with our guests tonight?
Well, when I read through it was like, just tapping into that. I really am still looking for I wanna collect a bunch of really good people that are psychic.
Yes,
That's
like
like
real
I'm
legit
still on my
psychics.
quest. It's like
Yes, please.
naturally talented psychics, please appear in my life. I'm just calling that out.
Yes.
And so, that's part of it, picking that aspect, and I just really enjoy learning new people that have had
Mhm.
plenty of adventures.
Yeah, I mean, and this man he's definitely been on some adventures and written some stories and
Yeah,
shared some experiences and
and anyone that can give us just some additional, like, behind the curtain view of these different, the different things like the eclipse or the
Mhm,
energies that are going on this planet,
mhm,
the turmoil that we're experiencing on the planetary level. I'm
mhm.
just all about hearing more insights and different perspectives on that.
Yeah, I agree. I like insights and perspectives. And all of the topics that he talks about, well, I shouldn't say all. Let's see, there was one thing I was like, "Oh, haven't done that before." Telekinesis.
Oh, yes.
Um, what else?
Let's see, we can review.
Yeah, so he's experiencing psychometry,
Oh,
which is really cool.
I
That's
s
the reading of the energy in an object. Clairvoyance, he does remote viewing. I'm trained in remote viewing. Seances, I've never done a seance. Telekinesis, never done that. Crystal ball gazing, ghost, like he's into ghost. He does paranormal investigations, UFO stuff. He does readings, remote healings,
he said
all
he
kinds of stuff.
did this, dealt with President, Abraham Lincoln, and that I
Oh, on the
studied Abraham
History
Lincoln.
Channel,
Yeah,
yes, he did that as
Abraham
well.
Lincoln, was a president that I studied several of the presidents as, I had this very, he was a little unconventional, this therapist, and he had me studied different American presidents and do a report. He was actually teaching me to use my voice, which is fascinating to look back many, many moons ago
Yeah.
that I had someone facilitating my voice and articulating and taking a concept and articulating it, which I do now. But Abraham Lincoln was one that I just really found he was really human, but then the other aspects of him. But I was like, oh, there's that
Back in the day
back in the
when
day.
presidents were not what they are now.
Oh,
And
there's
we will leave it at that because I do not get political. We do not need to waste our breath. All right, everyone, stay close. When we get back, we're going to be bringing our guest on to join us. We'll see you in a second. Hello, Wanderers. Welcome back.
we're here.
Trying to adjust these headphones. Hooey. Hi. Hello. Hi,
Hello.
Natalie. Thanks
Hi.
for coming back.
Well, yes, you can count on me.
I love that so much. Natalie is my ride or die. I know that for a fact.
Yes.
She's my girl. And thank you, Wanderers, for being with us tonight. I see you in the chat rooms. So grateful for you and your activity and your participation and support. It's so nice to have you here. Tonight, we are hanging out with a guest who has joined us before and visits us again. It's been a while, like I said. So there's a lot to chat about. Our guest tonight is John Russell, and he has been a professional psychic for 50 years. He's also been a paranormal researcher and investigator since the age of 11. He's a UFO experiencer, published author of nonfiction with 3 multi-award winning books in print, experienced in many modalities. We went over some of those. And tonight we'll be hearing about his latest release, 20 Ways to Increase Your Psychic Abilities, which he published last year. And it hit the Barnes & Noble Top 100 best-selling books. That is so awesome. Way to go, John. That is so cool. And we welcome him.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Nice to have you back. Welcome.
Oh, it's wonderful to be back. AJ, nice to be here. Natalie, nice to be here. And we're gonna have fun. We're gonna have a good time this evening.
Oh, I know it. I've been waiting for this to happen because you have great energy. You have a lot of stories to share. I had a blast with you last time you were with us.
Thank you.
And I'm just really excited because I'm in a great mood tonight, and you're just going to add to that. We're going to have so much good energy in our little chat room tonight. So
one of the first things I wanted to address, if I may, is the eclipse.
Yeah, we're going to talk to you about that.
You know, that the problem with all of these things is people lose their minds, and they lose their minds without doing any kind of positive, realistic, constructive research. You know, but one of the memes that I saw on Facebook was that they were calling out the National Guard and doing this and doing that and doing the other thing.
Nonsense.
Well, if you went and did the most basic research, you found out that indeed there were places along the path of the eclipse, and in particular going into Canada, where they were upping military or law enforcement presence. The reason for that is there were going to be people traveling along that corridor to get to these places to see the eclipse, to get to certain cities. And they were like, okay, we're going to have things in place to manage this traffic. Okay. It's not like the aliens are coming down and abducting everybody or something. We got to call out the National Guard. You know, it's like people don't research these things. Going back, oh God, how old was I? I'm 70 now. I turned 70 last month. So I've been around this gig for a while. Okay. And back when I was, I think in my 20s, they had, there was an alignment of all the planets. And there were people that were absolutely losing their mind in the paranormal community and the religious community and the scientific community. The religious community said it was going to be the second coming of Christ. It might be the rapture. It might be the end of the world. The people in the psychic paranormal communities were predicting that California was finally going to fall off into the ocean. There were going to be cataclysms. There were going to be signs in the skies. There were going to be omens. There were going to be disruptions. There was going to blah, 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 blah. And the scientists got in on it. And some of the scientists said that due to the increased gravitational pull from the lineup of the 9 planets, that we could experience tsunamis or abnormal earthquakes or this, that, and the other, whatever. What happened? Nothing. Nothing happened religiously. Nothing happened spiritually. Nothing happened scientifically. And then we go to Y2K. And I predicted, I had people ask me, oh my God, is it the end of the world? And I had to get on the air. I was on the air. That's when I started doing radio a lot. And I was on the air a lot. And I had to tell people, it's like, no, nothing is going to happen. It's not the end of the world. Our banking system isn't going to crash, blah, 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 blah. And I mean, people were terrified of this. I remember going in the grocery store and I was checking out. And the clerk that was checking me out, as she was moving my items along the scanner and bagging them, her hands were visibly shaking. And she said, what about this Y2K thing? Do you think the Russian missiles are going to launch and kill us all because of the Y2K bug? And I was like, Oh my God. People were absolutely horrified, terrified, just in a state of, and so now here we come with the eclipse. And every conspiracy theorist on the planet comes out with, okay, here it is. And guess what? Just like you said earlier, Natalie, eclipse is going to come and go. Nothing's going to have changed. Here we are.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I've had to do for my entire career is to get people to try and look at things with common sense and reason, to take the fear factor out of things, to take the dogma away from things, to take the superstition away from things. And that's one of the hardest things to do, is to get people to look at things with common sense and reason, and to realize, hey, look, there's nothing special or spectacular about this. At one time, I had on one of my computers, we've moved like 9 jillion times, and I've gone through a ton of computers as they've crashed over the years. But at one time, and maybe I could still find it if I dug around, I had a list. Somebody had compiled a list going back, oh God, hundreds of years. And it was all of the prophecies and predictions of cataclysms, miraculous signs, the end of the world, all of these things going back hundreds of years, made by psychics and priests and churches and scientists and everything else. Not a single one of them ever came to pass. Not one. So, you can't just have this knee-jerk reaction of, oh God, here it is, because it's not, and you can wind up selling all your stuff and going living on a mountaintop waiting for the mothership, or you go in the jungle and drink the poison Kool-Aid or whatever. So, the eclipse is going to come and go, just like all these other eclipses have. And, don't look at it directly with your eyes, because you're still looking at the sun. That's the best advice I can give you.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
Just kind of along these lines. What this is sort of leaning into it with all the talents that you have, but what do you find, are people hopeful for the end of the world? And then is there a benefit to the psychic and mediums? And of course it sells, but what's behind all of this?
It sells. And there is a group of people that want the end of the world to come, because they believe if they can provoke the destruction of the world, the end times, that Jesus is going to return and grab everybody up, and we're going to have the millennial kingdom. So there are a group of people, especially among some Pentecostal, charismatic, right-wing Christians, that are praying for and trying to hasten the end of the world so that Jesus will return. And this has been a thing that's been going on for a long time. So there are people that have their quote unquote vested interest. And like you point out, there are people that will make a ton of money off of this, phony psychics and so on and so forth. So there's always a vested interest in, getting into these cataclysms and gaining something from it, for your group or your religion, or personally, as a matter of profit or whatever. So that factor is always there.
It's definitely good for the prepping world industry.
Yeah.
On a spiritual level, though, what do you feel is taking place when they're creating so much fear for us?
Well, that's it. The thing that we have to realize now, that we have to look at, is that we've been fed a steady diet of fear for years and years and years now. And it reached its height with COVID. And it's, the powers that be love to have something to control you with, and to instill fear with, and to get you to think a certain way, and to get you to act a certain way. And that's how they stay in power, and that's how they keep their jobs. It's like when we lived in upstate New York, we had a blizzard one week, which is not uncommon. We have them all the time there. So this blizzard dumped about 2 feet of snow, and the snow plows ran, and they salted the roads, and they plowed the snow. The grocery stores had plenty of food. The electric stayed on, and everything went on as normal. Now, about 2, 3, 4 weeks later, we had another storm system come through, another blizzard, and dump another 2 feet of snow. And in this storm, it was, quote unquote, the storm of the century. And that's how they taglined this thing, and that's how they advertised it. Whenever you turned on the news there in New York, it was the headline, Storm of the Century. And they were like, prepare and stock up and do this and that. It was the exact same conditions we had lived through a few weeks prior, with no changes, nothing different, nothing unusual for New York weather, nothing unusual for New York winters. But all of a sudden, this was the storm of the century. So they were hyping this thing and just stoking people's fears, and make sure you've got plenty of supplies, and make sure your gas tank is full and all this. Now, the exact same conditions a few weeks earlier, they didn't do any such thing. It was like, okay, expect a couple of feet of snow and the snowplows are going to clear it and everything's fine. Now, all of a sudden, the storm of the century. So, we have this problem with the news industry that there is, if you really dig, there are some good legitimate reporters out there and some good legitimate reporting. There is also this thing to send things over the top. The old saying, if it bleeds, it leads, as far as the headline goes. So we have this desire to produce sensationalism. And I think it's infected everything. And we're under the impression that unless something's so sensational and over the top, that it doesn't have any value, or that it doesn't have any purpose, or that it's not going to attract enough clicks or likes or views or visitors or whatever. And we have to get over that. We have to get past that. It's going to be a hard uphill battle to do it. But that's what we're facing in all of this, is this desire for melodrama. And it's in the paranormal community. It's in the psychic community. We have this desire for the melodrama. We have this desire to be scared to death. We can't watch a legitimate paranormal investigation show or ghost hunting show, because it has to be, oh my God, something touched me. Oh my God, I nearly passed out. Oh, I'm nauseated. Oh, we got to run out of this room. Which one of us do you hate? Which one of us do you want to kill? Which one of us do you want us to run out of this room?
That's wild. That's so wild. And when you investigate, you sit there for hours and hours and hours and hours, and nothing happens.
And nothing happens. That can be the case a lot of times. And what I try and get people to understand, and this is the big uphill battle in all this melodrama, I started doing paranormal investigations when I was 11. As I said, I'm 70 now, so I've done hundreds of paranormal investigations. I've done high profile paranormal investigations and so on and so forth. I have never experienced, I've never been cursed, I've never been bit, I've never been scratched, I've never been hit, I've never been pushed, I've never been told to get out. So I don't know what these people are on, maybe too many energy drinks or whatever. I don't know what's happening, but this is not something in all of these experiences that I've had that I've personally experienced. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't that rare case out there that may be that way. Fine. I have not encountered it. And in the cases that I've been called in to investigate, where people have claimed these things and people have said, hey, John, this person's a friend of mine. They've had this problem, that thing. Can you please talk to them and give them some input or whatever? Sure. And in every single one of those cases, I have not found anything legitimate, any legitimate spiritual phenomena that was a cause for what happened. I have found misinterpretation, knee-jerk overreactions, gross misinterpretation of things that they did that they didn't even realize they did. In some cases, light mental illness. In some cases, heavy mental illness. In some cases, drug and alcohol abuse. So that's what I've encountered in this. So that's, in all of these things, excuse me, in the news stories and paranormal investigation and the reporting of ordinary phenomena such as the eclipse, it's melodrama, melodrama, melodrama. And unfortunately, that's what sells and puts people in the seats and makes money for the advertisers. And that's the uphill battle that I'm constantly going against and striving against.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yes, it's everywhere.
It
And
is,
now that it's all over TV, right? It's so popular, all of these paranormal investigation shows. They have been for quite some time. And people like that. People like that wow factor, that scare factor.
That scare factor. And the amazing thing to me, AJ, that I've learned over the years is that I used to think I was misinterpreting this or misrepresenting this. And it finally dawned on me, the more experience that I've had over the years talking with people, there are people that believe that the exorcist is real and that interaction with the paranormal is really that way. Or they will watch horror movies and they will think that horror movies are an actual representation of what it's like to interact with the paranormal realm, with the physical realm. And, you know, nothing could be farther from the truth. And a lot of these things, like if you go and investigate the, what was the haunted house with the flies and the blood dripping down the wall and all that? Amityville Horror. If you go and investigate that, it turns out nothing to any of it. It was a made up trick from the get go. The guy was in, over and over again, it's come down that the guy was like in some kind of financial trouble or something, concocted this story to try and make a buck off the media or whatever, this and the other. Anyways, it's there if you want to find out. So these are the things over the years that you deal with constantly. And like I say, it amazes me the number of people who go, well, didn't you see such and such horror movie? You know, how can you interact with the paranormal? Aren't you frightened? It's like, no, because that's a script that some guy sat down and wrote to make money. It's a movie. It's not real life. And it's not how this actually plays out. Okay. So that's one of the things we struggle with in all this.
I'm surprised with all of the investigations that you have done that you haven't had any of those experiences.
No.
I've had experiences myself. I feel like I'm of sound mind. I wasn't under any you know, substances, and I've had some pretty big things happen, and I've heard of other people, but I wasn't there, so I can't say. I just know of my own experience. Not on repeat, but I mean, there have been things that have happened sporadically in all the years that I've done that. I've never really just done it for a living though. So it's just everyone has their experience. I'm just like, lucky you.
Yeah. Well, you know, again, you have to look at the experiences you had and were you harmed? Was there permanent damage? You know, you have to look at that and you have to realize, and a lot of these things that we interpret as being malevolent or dangerous or harmful. I remember when I was shooting the pilot for the History Channel, there was a lady there, one of the docents there, and she said there was a little small break in the filming while we were resetting the next scene and everything. And she said, when you get a break, I have to talk to you. This ghost tried to kill me. I said, oh God, no ghost tried to kill you. She said, yeah, this ghost tried to kill me. So I said, okay, when we get a break, we'll talk. So I tuned in on it real quick psychically, and I knew exactly what was going on before I even talked to her. So we got to a break in the filming. We went off in another room. I said, okay, what happened? She said, I'm standing in my kitchen, and from behind me, the cupboard opens up. The door opens up by itself. This dish flies out of the cupboard, flies across the room, hits the wall right beside my head, shatters and falls on the floor. This ghost tried to kill me. And I was laughing. I said, the ghost wasn't trying to kill you. The ghost wasn't even trying to hurt you. If he was, he would have hit you with a plate. I said, what's happened is, and I told her I had tuned in on this beforehand to figure out what was going on. I said, what's happened is that the other side has been trying to communicate with you and interact with you for a number of years because they have a good, close relationship with you. They want to give you guidance, help, protection, so on and so forth. And you've been pushing it away and you've been ignoring it and you've been resisting it. And they've finally gotten to the point that out of frustration, they're like, ignore this. You can't ignore this.
This you can't deny.
Yeah, this you can't deny.
Say is a
and so that made sense to her. And I said, they're not trying to harm you. They're trying to get your attention.
I believe.
And I said, they've been trying to get your attention for a long time. Now they've upped the ante to a drastic type situation here. And I said, this is what you do. And this is how you interact with that. They're not here to harm you. They're here to help you. But they're frustrated with you because you won't listen. By the same token, talking about misrepresenting what happens, there was a client that called me and they said, John, I was listening to this world famous psychic on TV. And she said, if you'd like to have a ghost of your own, just ask for one. You'll get a ghost. And she said, I thought that sounded like fun. So I asked for a ghost and I got a ghost and it came and it manifested in my house physically. I mean, it did things in my house and it scared the life out of me. Then I didn't want it. So I told it to go away and it wouldn't leave. So I moved. I packed up everything, sold my house, and I moved, and it followed me. And she said, where it followed me, I was living in a house or an apartment, whatever it was, where there was parallel parking on the streets all the way up one side of the street and down the other. And she said the ghost would set off the car alarms in sequence, sequentially up one side of the street and then down the other side of the street. And so the neighbors were like, this woman has to be doing this somehow, because this has never happened till this woman moved in. So, John, they called the police on me. And so she said, I'm answering the door. The officers are standing on my doorstep. A couple of cops are standing there. They're questioning me about this. And about this time, as they're standing there, the car alarms go off sequentially up one side of the street and down the other. And the cops look at each other and they look at me and go, okay, don't know what the hell's going on, but it ain't you. Bye. We're out of here. And so she said, what do I do? I said, okay, this is real simple and this is real easy. I said, there's a stray dog over on the street there. You're driving along in your car and you see it. Oh, open the door. Here, puppy, come on, come home. And it gets in the car and you take it home. Now it's home and it chews on your table leg and you're like, I don't want this dog. Get out of here. So I said, it's the exact same thing with the spirit. You asked for a sentient being to come into your life. And it did. And then you're like, nah, I don't want you to get out of here. So it's kind of an insult. It's a slight. You invited it in. It took that invitation seriously. It came to you. And now you're wanting to kick it out. And then you try to run away from it and get away from it. I said, here's what you do. And I said, there's other things we can do if this doesn't work, but this will work. Here's what you do. I said, make peace with the spirit. Talk to the spirit. Say, listen, this kind of freaked me out. I asked for you and you came, and it was a bit much for me to handle. I thought it was what I wanted, and then it kind of wasn't. And to realize that there is this invisible sentient being that can physically manifest and physically move things in my house, it blew my mind. It freaked me out. It was a little too much. But listen, you're here, and I'm sorry I tried to run away from you. And what I would like to do is let's have a relationship, but take it easy with me. Take it easy on the door slamming or the footsteps or this or the other, whatever. Let's kind of get into this thing gradually, but you are welcome here, and do this for me. Protect me and watch over me, and protect me and watch over the house. And when I leave to go grocery shopping or whatever, if you don't come with me, watch over the house and stand guard over the house. Make sure nothing happens. And we'll have a rapport and we'll have a friendship that way. Yeah. Solve the problem. So a lot of times what we misinterpret colors our viewpoints. And a lot of that comes from our religious upbringing, what we've learned in the paranormal or psychic community, what we've been taught to believe, and again, the melodrama factors. So, we have to be very careful how we act and react to certain things.
Absolutely. I like your outlook on it. It's so positive. Do you ever feel like if we were to extend an invitation like that, we'd have to be really careful about how detailed we are in that?
No, because this is so funny. What's so funny is because people are always saying like, oh, I got to be real careful when I go do a paranormal investigation. I'll bring an attachment back home with me if I'm not careful or whatever. And I laugh at this. What people don't understand, people think that they're just sitting around in a vacuum and that they're going to go do an investigation, or they're going to ask for a spirit, or they're going to ask for this or ask for that. People, wherever you're sitting right now listening to my voice, just like all of us are sitting right here now on this show, every square inch around you is filled with spirit beings, spiritual energy, spiritual connections. You think you're going to go someplace and bring back an attachment? Guess what? The attachment's already there, Sparky. It's like you have to realize this is the natural state of the world, that we live in a world where invisible beings of various kinds are always around us. Sometimes they choose to manifest, sometimes they don't, but they're always there. And those are people, our deceased loved ones and friends on the other side, guardian angels, spirit guides, nature spirits, spirits that we don't even really know how to classify, but they're intelligent beings. They have will, volition, purpose, emotions, and they're there. And this is their planet, their dimension, their energy as well as ours. And so they're already there. You don't have to call them. You don't have to worry about an attachment or whatever. They're there all the time. What the wonder is most of the time they choose to ignore you.
Yeah. They're doing their own thing.
They're doing their own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So if someone were wanting to connect with spirit, because we're all able to do so,
Right.
We all have the ability to do that,
Yep.
or even figure out who their spirit guides are, what that energy feels like. What would you say to them?
I would tell them, and we'll talk about this more after the break, obviously, but I want to get into my new book, 20 Ways to Increase Your Psychic Abilities, because it addresses that. And it tells people how to do this in a way that's safe, that's free from rigmarole and gobbledygook and dogma and superstition and so on and so forth. And most importantly, it works. That's the great thing about the techniques in this book is they absolutely do work.
Tried and True
Yeah.
by John. And you have some experience, so
A little bit. Yeah. I've been doing this since I was, I had my first psychic experience, paranormal experience when I was 5. Discovered my psychic gift at 6, started doing paranormal research at age 11, started reading for friends and family at 15, started reading professionally at 18, and now I've read for over 50 years for a worldwide clientele and done hundreds of paranormal investigations, had way over 1,000 personal physical manifestations that I've experienced. So it's a little bit of experience with it, yeah.
yeah, just a little bit. How did you know that you were psychic at 6 years old?
That was interesting. I don't know if we have enough time before the break to get into that. It
We
goes into a
we
little
have
bit.
about 2.5 minutes right now.
Yeah, it'll probably take a little longer than that. I could try and condense it. After the awakening that I had with the paranormal manifestations began, I was standing out in the yard playing one day in the backyard playing with a toy, and this car pulled into the driveway, and I didn't know the people. I didn't recognize them, so I ran inside and got my parents on. I said, "Hey, there's this car in the driveway. I don't know who it is." And they said, "Okay, we'll come out and look." So they were like, "Oh, these are friends of ours," and I'd never met the people. I didn't know who they were, so I was like, "Oh, okay." So they got out and they were standing on the sidewalk talking with my mom and dad before they went in the house. And I was goofing around with my toy. And all of a sudden I walked over to them. I just stood there looking up at everybody. And there was a little lull in the conversation. And I said, "You folks have just been on vacation." And I said, "You drove that car that's in the driveway and you have 2 kids. They're not with you today, but you have 2 kids and you took them with you on this vacation. And you stayed at this hotel that was painted this color and it had this many floors. And in the front, there were these trees that looked like this, and they were planted, spaced at regular intervals out there. And in the back was the pool area, and it was painted this color, and it was set up like this." And they were looking at me, especially the lady. She was literally, her jaw was agape, her eyes were bugged out. She was looking at me like I had cobras growing out of my ears. And she looked at my mother and she said, "How the hell could he possibly know that?" And my mother was taken aback. My dad was taken aback, and I didn't know what to say. And my mother said, "Oh, kids and their imaginations." And she said, "No, this is not kids and their imaginations. How the hell could he possibly know that?" And my parents didn't know what to say. And they said, "This is what we came to tell you today was about the vacation we just took. And we took that car. We drove our car. We took our 2 kids. The hotel we stayed at was exactly like John described. How the hell could he possibly know that?" So that was when I was like, okay, there's the psychic gift kicking in. So that's how that began to develop.
Okay, I've heard that story before. I don't know if it was the last time we hung out or in one
I
of
think it
your
was,
other
yeah,
interviews that
yeah,
I've seen you, but now I remember, yeah.
yeah.
That's so cool. So cool. All right, you guys, we're gonna take our last break of the evening. We'll have an entire hour to continue wandering with John when we return. Stay close. Hello, wanderers. Welcome back to Soul Wanderings. I am AJ.
I am Natalie.
And tonight, our guest that has joined us is John Russell. Welcome back, John.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here with you guys tonight. This is great. I really appreciate you having me.
Oh my goodness, it is great. We agree. You bring awesome energy with you. You're a great storyteller.
Thank you.
And all of the experience you have is just really awesome and fun to hear about. So thank you for that. Tonight we are going to learn more about the most recent book you've published.
Yeah.
20 ways to increase your psychic abilities. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this book came about because over the years, the other side has taught me techniques directly that work. And over the years, as I read from my clients, they would be encountering a particular situation in their life. And I would say, okay, here's a tool or a technique that you can use to fix that, to mend that, to help that, or to help you achieve this goal, or to help you disengage from this person that's obsessive about you or whatever, and this, that, and the other. So as I began to give these techniques to my clients, they would report back that they worked. So over the years, it was finally like, duh, I need to set these down in a book so that I can get out to everybody. And you know, it's a very helpful thing. And I wanted a lot of people to be able to use these techniques and enjoy them. So I came up with 20. People say, why 20? Why not 30 or 50 or 100 or whatever? 20 was an arbitrary number. And to me, it just felt manageable because the techniques in the book are simple to learn, but they have a lot of meat to them. They have a lot of depth to them. So this is something like one buddy of mine said. He said, in the first two books, you're the storyteller, and this one, you're the teacher. I feel like it's a textbook, and I have to go back and study and relearn and really delve into these things. And like, I've had a lot of my readers say that and say, every time I delve into this chapter, I learn something new, or I gain a different perspective, or I get a better understanding of how to apply this technique in my life. So 20 is plenty for this first book. And I did a variety of things. The first chapter is psychometry, and every technique, I define it. I tell you what it is. I tell you how to practice it, how to learn it, how to get good at it, and then the real world application of that. So I did that for every chapter, every technique, and I've got techniques on dream interpretation, how to conduct an old school seance, candle magic, how to attract the perfect mate, on and on and on and on. So these are things, again, I've used in my life. I know they've worked. My clients have used them before I wrote the book and got it out there. They gave me feedback that it worked. And now people, my readers that have used the book, the techniques in the book, all over the world. I've gotten feedback from readers all over the world. They said, John, we tried it. It works. It's working for us. So the other main focus in writing the book, like I mentioned earlier, there's so much gobbledygook out there and so much stuff to try and wade through. And people are hidebound about the paranormal, just like they're hidebound about religion. And so they say, well, to achieve a certain effect, you have to call on this god or goddess at midnight on the third Thursday of a month while you shave your head, dressed in purple. You're standing outside under a full moon, waving a dead bat around. It's like, no, you don't. In the first place, it's hard to find all those things. In the second place, in our busy lives, it's difficult to get all those confluences together and just right. And then a lot of the things in the paranormal realm, as far as doing any type of magical working or anything like that, it's always these expensive items you have to procure, or these hard, difficult to find herbs, or whatever, this, that, and the other. So with my book, it's like, okay, I think the most expensive thing you'll have to buy if you use the tools and techniques in my book, and this is only if you want to, there's workarounds. The most expensive thing you'd have to buy is a crystal ball. That's about the most expensive thing. You can get those for $20-30 at Amazon, so that's not that bad. There's even a workaround for that. As far as if you don't want to buy a crystal ball, you can do the exact same thing with techniques that I teach in the book without a crystal ball. So it costs you nothing. The second most expensive thing, I think, is if you want to buy a tarot deck, if you don't already have one, because I teach learning to read the tarot, how to understand the tarot, and begin to practice that. The only other expensive thing would be for a box of nails and some lemons at the supermarket. And so that's the expenses that you'll run through in here. There's nothing expensive.
The nails and the lemons?
They do what?
I was curious, what do you do with the nails and the lemons? You have to get that in the book?
That's in the book, and it goes into detail. Just real briefly, that's a riff off a very old spell, off a very old magical spell that's been around forever and a day. And I kind of riff off of that and teach you how to do this spell with lemon and nails, and for various reasons, for various purposes. And people have reported back to me they've used it and they found it very, very effective. I've used it for many, many years. So it's real simple to do, real easy to do. And, you know, there's people that are always wanting to complicate things. And, you know, people in the psychic and paranormal realms have their own dogmas and their own superstitions. I was on Coast to Coast AM with Connie as the guest host on there. And she wanted to know about the tarot. She said, nobody's ever told me everything I need to know about the tarot. So we got into the tarot in depth that night. And she said, that was so great. This is the first time in my life I've learned everything, because I've studied the tarot since I was 15. So talking about the dogma with people and everything, after we had the show on Facebook on her, when she was posting on Facebook, this person posted and said, I knew this guy was a fraud. I knew he was a fake and a phony from the moment I heard him, because you can't have you can't pull the cards for people from the tarot deck. Yeah, somebody else has to do their own cards and all this. I knew he was a fraud. It's like, oh my God. And this one lady called in. She said, I heard I have to have, somebody has to give me a tarot deck. I can't buy my own tarot deck. Is that right? Is that right? And I was like, my God, no. So we have all these ridiculous superstitions and things. I strip all of that away in the book. And it's like, look, here it is, plain and simple, black and white. If you want to learn it and if you want it to work, here it is. Here's how you do it. And I've had a ton of people tell me how they appreciate that I've stripped away all the superfluity and all this nonsense and made things simple and easy to understand, taken complex subjects and made them accessible, and most importantly, made them workable. So that was the motivation of this book. I'm getting the feedback that's working, that people are using it that way and understanding it that way.
That's awesome. I think it's so important, like, because I own a spiritual center or a retail shop. During the day, I work the shop. I meet with my customers. And I can't tell you how many times people come in and say, I need to buy this many of this crystal, this many of that crystal. I have to have a black candle, a hot pink candle, and I need this much sage because I'm supposed to walk around my house backwards and click my heels 3 times. And I'm just like, whoa.
What are you trying to do?
Hold up. What? Who is telling you this garbage?
I know.
It's just so rampant in the spiritual community.
It is.
And I don't know, because they're not making money by telling them to come to my shop. So I don't know what people get off of telling other people, like, it needs to look and be a certain way, as if spirituality is religion, and it's not. And it's just, it blows my mind every single time. I just look at the person like, oh,
I know.
Here's
well,
my
one thing is ego. There's a lot of ego, and people want you to think that they know more than you do, and they know better than you do. And people love rules and regulations and stipulations and complexities and difficulties in it. And it's like, if you go to them and say, okay, here's 10 things, you don't need 9 of those. You just need this one. It just fries their mind. It's like, no, it can't be that simple. It can't be that good. It can't be that good. It's like, so there's a lot of dogma and superstition, ritual, tradition to get through there. And it's like, I say in my book, there's going to be people that are going, no, this guy's entirely wrong. It can't be that easy. You got to do this and this and this and this and this and this. If you want to waste your money, if you want to waste your time, fine, go do that. But I'm telling you, I've done this my entire life. And if you want to do it, here it is, cut and dried, plain and simple, and it will change your life for the better. It will work. It's safe and easy to do. And there's people like, I have a chapter in the book on learning to use a Ouija board. And people are like, oh my God, the Ouija board, the Ouija board. Well, the first thing I tell people is, if there's anything in the book that you can't get over your fear of, or your superstition of, or whatever, ignore that chapter and move on. There's 19 other chapters,
Exactly.
And then the other thing I try and get people to understand, especially about like the Ouija board, mention using the Ouija board to contact the spiritual realm, and you're going to have, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Now, mention using the crystal ball, the pendulum, the tarot cards, dowsing rods, scrying, a mirror, crystals. Oh, those are okay. Those are all right. But
all
the
the
Ouija board, oh my God. You're using the exact same motive force, regardless of which tool you use to connect with and contact the other side. It's the exact same motive force. There's no difference. The Ouija board is not more evil just because it was featured in the film The Exorcist, which a guy wrote to make a buck. Okay?
I agree with that completely. Yeah, I remember when I first started down this spiritual journey, whatever you want to call it, and I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
and so I'm looking to people to help me, and this is part of why I opened my shop, is to not lead people astray, because
Exactly.
I'll tell you
Exactly.
what, the first few years were a school of hard knocks with people in the community,
Yeah.
and the things that they told me
Oh,
and
yeah.
made me believe, and the amount of money I spent on
Hmm.
people and items that I was told I needed to do and have, it's just
Yeah.
unbelievable. And
And
so
it didn't
through
amount
friendship.
to a hill of beans.
No, I don't even use any of that stuff. I have a bunch of garbage sitting in a box that I'm never
Yep.
gonna touch again. And,
Yep.
I probably sound hypocritical because I sell a lot of that stuff in my store, but the thing about me and having that stuff in there is that I tell my customers, I don't try to sell anything to them. I
Right.
tell
Right.
them, "You don't need any of this. I
Right.
know you want it. I
Yeah.
know you think you need it, but you don't."
Yeah.
And it's just you're not wrong when you say there's a lot of ego, and there really is. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter if it's spirituality or religion or whatever the heck you believe in. There is so much ego just in human nature.
Yeah. Yeah. There
But
is.
it's frustrating because you're messing with people's emotions.
Yeah.
Like you're
Well, you're messing
lying.
with their emotions, you're messing with their minds, you're messing with their pocketbook, you're messing with their
Mhm.
spirituality. You know,
Exactly.
it's like all these phony fakes and psychics out there that I've had to rescue people and still am for years and years and years and years from these phony psychics that have taken people for $10,000,
Mhm.
$30,000, fifty
Oh,
thousand
it's
dollars,
awful.
$100,000. You know,
Awful.
and it's just, and people say, well, John, if they're that stupid, that's what they deserve. And what people don't understand is most of these people that get taken are extremely intelligent,
Mhm.
and they don't understand that the reason they're called con artists, which is short for confidence artist, is because they know exactly how to read you, which
Mhm.
buttons to push, and how to gain your confidence.
Right.
Right.
And another thing that these phonies and cons do is they use simple sleight of hand magic. That if you went to any public library and got a book on magic, you would learn how all this is done. But if you don't know how it's done, it looks like a legitimate physical paranormal miracle is happening in front of your eyes. And so they use this sleight of hand magic to convince you that something paranormal is going on. And you look at that and you say, wow, oh, okay, well, what do I need to do? You know, and then they hook you in from there, and it's more money, more money, more money. And well, we're running up against a more powerful spiritual blockage here than I anticipated. And it's just going to take more money to get through that, you know. And well, how's my money going to help you get through the spiritual blockage? Well, the money's not for me. The money's for the spirits. They want an offering of the money, and I'm going to take and I'm going to buy them some
Oh
food
my
and some
gosh.
booze and set them up a buffet and spread the money out. That's for the spirits. It ain't for me. It's not for me.
Yep.
Okay, all right. You know, and then they'll just bleed you for as much as they can. And it sounds stupid till you get there and you're hooked in it, and you know, it makes sense for a while.
Right. Right. No, yeah. When you're down and you are looking for answers or looking for a path or grieving or healing from trauma, whatever it is, you're
You know,
so vulnerable.
desperate for a solution.
Yeah,
You know,
you'll try anything. It's
you'll
just like
try anything.
people who wanna
Absolutely.
lose weight, they will try anything.
Yeah.
Um, and they'll listen to anyone about a quick fix, and they're
Oh,
not.
sure. And
Yeah.
there's no quick fixes. And that's what I tell people in my book. It's like, yes, these things absolutely will work for you if you learn them, if you practice them, and if you apply them, and if you apply them consistently. And you know, that's the difference in anything. If you apply it consistently, it's going to work for you. If you do it a little bit and stop, say, well, I didn't get the results I wanted. You didn't try. You didn't keep with it. You know, you didn't stay with it till you got the results you needed.
With all of the divination tools that you talk about in your book, which one is your favorite?
Oh gosh, I've always loved the tarot. I guess because I'm an artist and a photographer. You know, being an artist, as soon as I saw the artwork in the tarot, it was like visual intoxication. It was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I love this. And you know, not only was it a great means of divination, each deck is also a miniature museum of art. And
Yes.
so I've probably got 100 decks, you know, at least. And some of them, I think I've read with most of them. I have favorites that I read with for my clients, but a lot of them I bought just for the beauty of the artwork. So
That's
the
the
tarot is
only
probably,
reason I
yeah,
have tarot.
yeah.
So
Tarot is
the
probably my
artwork.
thing. That's probably my favorite thing.
Oh, yes, there are so many decks that have
Yeah.
this incredible artwork.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how many I have at this point, but they are for the artwork,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So you talked about Ouija boards being like people being so afraid of them out of
Right.
all the divination tools, and I can see
Mhm.
why because, media and whatnot.
Right.
Um, how how do you look at the Ouija board as just another divination tool? How is it different for you?
That's all it is. It's you can research the board back. It's difficult to do so with a lot of accuracy after a point, but apparently there have been things like the talking board around for a long, long time. Supposedly the Native Americans had a device like the talking board that they used with great success, so on and so forth. So to me, it's just another form of divination like the crystal ball or tarot cards or dowsing rods or anything else.
Mhm.
And I began to use it seriously when I was about 15. I had kind of dabbled with it some, and my parents had a friend that was like literally an expert with the board. And so she offered to teach me how to connect and make a good connection with the other side and use the board in a serious way to obtain useful information. And so I've used one since I was 15, never had any negative experience or anything like that. And it's something I don't have to use. It's something sometimes I enjoy using. The greatest connection I have with the other side is just my psychic gift. But there are times that I like to use these other tools and techniques because of the inherent energy I think that they have. And it's kind of a frosting on the cake, if you will. And there are things I just like to keep my hand in. When I was young, I determined that I wasn't going to pigeonhole myself, and I wasn't going to say, "Well, I'm a psychic, but I'm not a dowser or this, that, and the other." I said, "I'm going to be everything I can be. I'm going to experiment with everything I can, find everything that works for me, keep what works, throw away what doesn't, and find out where my niche is in all of this, what works for me most strongly, what gives me the best results, what gives my clients the best results." And
Mhm.
ultimately, that's just me, period. But then there are things that I like to utilize in addition to that.
Yeah. Now, I think it's neat how many modalities you're trained in. It doesn't mean you need to use them all. Like
Right,
I can do a lot of things, but I don't always use them. Well, I
right,
never use
right.
them all at once. Like it's like tools in a toolbox, like we
That's
refer
it.
to, right?
That's it.
Um, so did you have a question?
Well, I was,
I keep taking over, sorry.
she's just, like, so excited.
I'm like, "We're talking to
I
John."
figure she'd, like, bring me in one of these times. Well, I had a point I wanted to bring up that I'm listening to. So, John, you have, like, decades of experience, and
Yeah,
AJ and I are not new at this either,
right.
and I think that it would be fair to say all of us, all 3 of us, have come to realize that it's our self that's, 1, responsible.
Hmm.
So there's responsibility that comes with, years of experience with it.
Right.
So there's not
Absolutely.
only the wisdom gained from the experience, but the willingness to be responsible,
Hmm.
and
Mhm,
I find that that's an aspect, in some of the people that do occult or magic, and
Hmm.
they have it so, rigid
Yeah,
mhm,
because they haven't actually opened up that responsibility and saying,
exactly.
"I'm responsible for it. I'm doing this, so if they do spell work, then it's gotta be a particular way."
Right.
When you're more adept at it because you've stepped into that,
Hmm.
you have a fluidity with it, and you just
Yes.
intuitively know, and I think that's a mark of someone that, has actually practiced a lot more or
Yeah.
someone that's just trying.
Yeah.
That was my
Absolutely.
comment.
and also
Yeah.
intention,
Oh, yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there are people who are doing the same work we're doing
Right.
with
Hmm.
a much different intention and goal in mind.
Sure.
Correct.
Sure.
Yes.
Not that we're better than them, I'm
No.
just saying it's different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was my comment. Now I'll have to
What's
think
your
of a
driving
question.
force? Like, what's your intention in doing this type of work, John?
My main thing, my focus is to help people and to help them improve their lives, help them get out of bad situations into better situations. If they're in a good situation now, how do they keep that or make that better? practical guidance, and no pie in the sky by and by stuff. It has to be something that's going to help them in their daily lives right now and help them to move forward in a positive way. And then, any communication from the other side, as far as from deceased loved ones or guardian angels or whatever, to be able to communicate that to them as well and tell them how to connect with that on their own down the road, between readings, or so that they don't need readings as often or whatever. I try and get people to be as independent as they can and to learn as much on their own as they can, so that they make the direct connection with the other side for themselves. And so they're not so dependent on other people.
Yeah, I love that. Speaking of not being dependent on other people, what are some things that you could share with our audience if they were just beginning to tap into their psychic abilities?
The thing that I tell people the most is go directly to the source, go directly to the other side, whatever you perceive that to be. Universal mind, God, divine creator, whatever you perceive that creative source to be, that divine source, that energy source to be, go directly to that and say, here I am, and I want to learn. I want to understand as much as possible. I want to walk in as much light as you can give me. And then be receptive, be open, make time to get that response. And then when you get that response, act on that response. Now, the way we get the response, we always talk, blah, 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 blah. Give me this, give me that. I need this, I need that. Lord, I want. God, I want. Spirit, I want. Give me this, I need blah, blah, blah. And we always asking, and we never shut up. And so the key thing when you ask for this, say, I need this guidance, I need this leading, I need this intuition, shut up. You can't hear if you're talking. And then get in the silence. And by get in the silence, turn off the computer, turn off the music, turn off the cell phone, get away from everything in the quiet, and sit down and close your eyes and take a deep breath. Say, okay, I'm here, I'm listening. And then shut up and listen. And then the response in time will come to you intuitively, in a vision, in some type of premonition, in an aroma, in a sound, whatever. There will be something that will come to you if you will make time to do that each day. And then when you get that guidance, when you get that response, most importantly, do it. Because it's not going to help if you receive the information. You say, no, that's not what I want to hear. That's not what I want to do. And that's like people that go to 20 different psychics till they find one that tells them what they want to hear. The first one may have given the right advice, but that's not what they wanted to do. So they hop along to 19 others, hoping they'll hear something that tickles their ears. So that's the most important thing. Is, and when you do get that information, follow up on it. And then you keep going back to that source and saying, okay, what's the next step now? Now, what do I do once I've completed this? Then you get quiet and listen. You receive it again. You go do it again. And that's the process. Now, along the way, you may be led to certain things. You may be walking around a New Age bookstore, walking around the corner on the sidewalk, see this New Age bookstore, and in the window is this book that just screams your name. And you go, oh, okay. And you go in, you buy that book, and you learn something useful from that book. So there's all these ways that Spirit has to communicate with you if you're open, if you're receptive. And you have to understand you're not going to get every answer that you want in any one teaching or group or book or thing or whatever. It's bits and pieces of the puzzle. And we have to be on the lookout for those bits and pieces of the puzzle to put those together in the best way that we can for our lives, to help ourselves and then to help others. So always go to the source, always.
I
So
like that.
beautiful.
Yes.
Yes, I love that so much.
So I have so I do a lot of work with grief, and one of the things that's really common are flashing lights. So I just wanted to ask you about that a little bit. Is that so actually I want to ask you specifically, from the other side, are there rules and how they are restricted? Is there restrictions on them to communicate with us?
We don't know. We wish the heck we did, but we don't know.
Oh,
There's just so
that's
much about the other side we don't know. And we have to try and put these bits and pieces of the puzzle together and make sense out of it. Some people, when they get to the other side, there was I've been a biker since I was 15. And this biker buddy of mine, crossed over. And after he died, this guy communicated with nearly everybody in our writing circle, a wide group of friends, of course, his wife, his widow he left behind, in dramatic physical fashion, not just through dreams or anything like that, but I mean, like phone calls would come and, signs and all these crazy things. This guy communicated like no one I have ever seen communicate from the other side. Mm. And then there are people that were dear, dear, dear friends of mine that they're on the other side, and I've got maybe a little tiny bit here and there, and it's like, why not more? And so we don't know. Some of the methodology of communication from the other side may be that if I go take a swimming lesson, you go take a swimming lesson. I may get in there and I may learn to swim. I may flounder around a little bit and have fun. You may get in there, take a few swimming lessons, and man, before long, you're on the swim team. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we have this inherent ability. And I think that some people on the other side cotton to that means of communication more easily, more readily than other people do. So that may be one thing. Another thing is, as far as communication, and people that are in radio, they love this. They love this analogy. When I was a teenager, we had this friend. He had a shortwave radio, a ham radio. We were in West Texas, and on a good, clear night with the conditions just right, we would talk to people in England and Australia, and maybe talk 15 or 20 minutes, and it sounded like they were right there in the room with us, clear as a bell. The next night, we did good to talk to somebody across town, know. And so I think it's that same way with the other side. The conditions, are the conditions right for that person to come through at that time? And how long can they come through? And so on and so forth. And there's just so much that we don't know. And we need to study this in a way that's both spiritual and scientific. The problem you run into with the scientists is most of them are debunkers, and they say there's nothing to this, it's nonsense. So you can't get good, reputable scientists interested in it. The psychics don't want to work with scientists because we've been debunked, we've made fun of, and been denigrated. And we're like, okay, well, why should I work with this guy? He's just going to call me a fool. So, these are the difficulties we face. But if we could get people working together and get science married with paranormal investigation, with good psychics, with good mediums, and with all the egos out of the way, and just say, okay, this is the result we're trying to obtain. Let's see how we can go about this. That hadn't worked. What do we need to change? What variables do we need to introduce? What do we need to take out? What do we need to do? And try that. Okay, that got a little bit of results. Let's go with this and see how much further we can get. And if you look at things, we're woefully far behind. We're in 2024, in the 21st century. We should be banging this thing out the door by now. Mm-hmm. But you go back to the history of EVP, and you get some of the earliest EVP recordings, and it was this. Now, here we are in 2024. We have these magnificent computers. We've got these great, fantastic recorders. What do we get? It's like, oh man, so we haven't made the progress, and we're not going to make the progress until we marry science and spirituality together and start working on this in a concerted way. Mm-hmm. And people that have done that, like Tesla was doing incredible things. What happened? People made fun of him. People denigrated him. They took his research when he died and it disappeared, all this type of thing. Yeah. So the people that have done phenomenal things, they've been made fun of. And the scientists that I remember one scientist, paranormal, well, he was a scientist and a paranormal researcher. And I guess he kind of kept the paranormal side on the down low. And I wrote to him and asked him if he would write an endorsement for my books. And he said, I sent him the PDFs of the books, and he wrote him. He said, these are really great, and I would love to endorse them, but if I did, the scientific community is going to disown me. And so I'm sorry, I just have to put that aside. So this is what we're still dealing with, and we have to find ways to overcome that. Mm-hmm. We have to get past the stigma. We have to get past egos, and this takes money. So we have to find somebody that's, as an investor, that's willing to pony up the money and say, okay, let's put this group together. We'll pay your salaries for this research, and we'll give you a year's funding and produce something. If you produce something, we keep going. If not, we stop. And to produce something, the hardest thing is going to be to get the egos out of the way, because it's like when we, and I write about this in my books, that we started a circle, a mediumistic circle in my family's home. And the proviso was that if you were a Christian, great, pray in the name of Jesus for this person. If you were if you followed the inner peace movement, or you followed Eckankar, which was really strong and popular at the time, or if you followed this or that or the other, whatever, great. But don't expect the whole group to use your technique or your belief system or whatever. If it works for you, great, use it. But don't force it on me or expect me to use it. I've got my own thing. And we would each take our own technique, and we would say, okay, Joe Blow needs a healing. Let's send healing energy to Joe Blow. And however you individually believe that and practice that, you would send that energy. But we would do it in concert. And we got marvelous results, fantastic results. It was great. It was really, really fantastic. And then egos took over. And it was like, well, I've read this book, and this book says you need to try this or do this way. And although I think we should all use this book. Or I took this course, and this course says so-and-so, we need to all use this course. Or, it's always at your house. When can it be at my house? Why don't I host the meeting? And so it fell apart. Ego tore the thing apart. And that's the biggest thing you have to guard against when you get into this, is ego.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that across the board. And even authentically, like my own ego.
Yeah.
Because you have things happen and they're validated. You're like, yeah, I'm a baddie. But really, it's just, we all have these abilities. And the beautiful thing is when we can connect to our abilities and use them for the greater good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that so much. Do you believe in the ability to open your third eye?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. And it's not as big a deal as people think that it is. People think you have to go through all these long periods of meditation or of what, the chakras, the kundalini, or whatever. You don't. It's just the third eye's there. If you're developing your psychic gifts, the third eye is going to open. It's going to be there. It's going to be manifest. And there's a lot of techniques you can use to use a third eye that are very, very simple, that don't take any years of meditation or this, that, and the other. It's one of the simplest methods of using the third eye is say that you want to influence someone to give you a favorable decision about something. You just visualize that energy from your third eye region traveling through the atmosphere to where they are and impacting their third eye region. And then you just repeatedly send the messages to them that you want them to receive. So it's a very simple process. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Right. There's, I don't know how many videos on how to open your third eye on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's so interesting.
And usually it's some convoluted, do this forever and ever. And then in 3 years, your eye will open or whatever. It's like, come on, people. 3 years I ain't got, I'm an old man. I got to get to it.
Like, I have things I need to see.
Yes, I got things I need to do.
Jumping off subject in this regards a little bit, tell us a little bit about your experience with remote viewing.
That's just clairvoyance. We have the new age term for it, but it's just clairvoyance. It's been around forever and a day. We always like to put new labels on things. Everything has to be something new. Channeling, that's just trance mediumship from the spiritualism days. It's the exact same thing, exact same motive of energy, exact same use of energy. But remote viewing, that's just clairvoyance, and that's natural to any psychic. It just, you see at a distance, you see inside people's houses, you see what they're doing, you see around the world, you see at a distance. So it's really a normal, natural outgrowth of being psychic. It's not that mysterious a thing, and you don't really have to, it's not that difficult to train, to learn to use and to utilize. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of ego with that will tell you, oh, you got to take these courses for months on end and all this and all that. Well, you really don't. If you have a natural affinity towards psychic gifts at all, you're going to have that ability. And anytime that you're sitting there and you say, oh gosh, I see so-and-so's brakes on their car need to be fixed. I need to be careful driving this. And you call them and tell them, and they get it fixed. Sure enough, the brakes were bad or whatever. That's remote viewing. That's you've seen something at a distance, and that's all it is. Now, you can obviously you can try and develop that to, go different places, go to top secret facilities and look inside and so on and so forth, which our remote viewing program has successfully done. People need to realize one thing, though, when they really get like super, super deep into trying to remote view classified areas or things like that, the scuttlebutt is, and this comes from people that are reliable that I know, the scuttlebutt is that they have people set up to block you from doing that. So there are psychics there that are sending energy to keep you out or to give you the wrong impression of what you're seeing, or to keep you from seeing anything at all. Or, oh, geez, I tried to go in this government location. I got this blinding headache. And well, that's why there's people there keeping you out.
That is so wild. That is so wild to me.
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
I believe it, but holy smokes. So yeah, you got me. I just don't even know how to respond to that.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. And you have to understand that, when you develop psychic abilities, you think, okay, I can go anywhere, do anything I want to, or see anything I want to, or whatever. It's like, well, no, there's other people out there with psychic abilities that in sensitive situations, they've set up a safeguard, an energy field, if you will, to keep you out of there, to keep you from seeing those things or to getting involved in those things. So we have to understand that. And I always tell people, I say, look, if you're all the things in my book, this is easy level stuff that impacts your life in a positive way on a daily basis. Those same easy techniques, simple techniques, can be taken to the extreme and taken very, very deeply if you want to go there. But just be aware that when you do, then you're opening up a whole nother can of worms. You're getting involved in a whole other ball game. There's whole other parameters involved. And so that's why I always tell everybody, I always stress, listen to your guardian angels, listen to your intuition, listen to your guidance, and do what it tells you. And if you're determined to do a session and you sit down to do that session and your guidance comes to you and says, not today, don't mess with this, listen to them and don't mess with it. It's not necessarily anything malevolent, demonic, satanic, or whatever. It's not that. It's just that there may be people out there a lot stronger than you, and you're going to run afoul of them, and you're going to wind up with a nasty migraine for 3 days. So, you got to listen to intuition and guidance when you're involved with this.
Oh, definitely. How do you tell the difference between the information you're receiving from spirit and your imagination?
That comes with experience. And it comes with putting your ego aside and with putting your wants and wishes aside. There's a lot of psychics that always tell me, I can't read for myself. I can read for others, but I can't read for myself. Yeah, you can. You just don't want to hear what you're going to be told, because we're like everybody else. I want to hear that this is going to happen, or that's going to happen, or this is going to be the thing. And the other side may look at you and go, that ain't it. Go this other way. And that's not what you want to hear. Yeah. So that's how you learn the differences. You have to be open and honest and receptive to say, okay, what is the best course of action for me here, regardless of what I want, regardless of what I want to hear, what's the best course of action? And a funny story in line with that, I had been on radio a ton, and I was watching all these things on TV, and I was like so disgusted with them. And I said, oh God. And I called my retinue of spirits on the other side, I call them my guys, just an umbrella term of affection. And so I told my guys one day, I said, look, I said, all these stupid programs, I said, get me on TV, give me the opportunity to set this straight and to do some good things on TV and to show people how it really is to interact with the paranormal realm. So this was my prayer for a long time. Didn't hear anything from the guys. I thought, okay, well, I'll just keep asking. We'll see what happens. So my wife and I had gone on a cruise. We came back from this cruise, and in my email was an email from, I can't remember if his name was John Hockenberry or or David Hockenberry. I don't remember, but anyways, his last name was Hockenberry. He was a reporter that was in the wheelchair, and he did prime time or 48 hours, one of those news programs that came on like at 9 at night. So here's an email from Hockenberry wanting me to be on prime time or whatever it was. And I'm like, oh my God, here it is. And I yell at my wife, come in here, look at this, come in here, look at this. We're reading it. What? I said, look at this. Hockenberry wants me on 48 hours prime time, whatever it was. Here it is. And she's like, oh my God, oh my God. And we're reading through the email. We get down to the bottom, and we were back from the cruise 3 days too late to meet the deadline to be on the show. And so I said to my guys, guys, how can you do this to me? This is what I've been asking for. This is what I've been wanting. What in the world? And all they would say to me was, just wait. You're going to be so glad you didn't get this. And I'm arguing with them. I'm like, what are you, crazy? This is what I've been asking for. This is national TV, a prominent show, a prominent interviewer. Man, just wait. You're going to be so glad you didn't get this. And I was like, well, that makes no sense. So 2-3 weeks down the road, one Saturday afternoon, I'm watching TV and I'm flipping through the channels. And here's John Edward. And John Edward's being interviewed by Hockenberry. And I'm just yelling at my guys. I'm like, look at this. Edward has New York Times best-selling books. He's got his own show. He doesn't need this. I need this. And they're just quiet. And I'm like, and I turn up the volume and I'm listening to the interview. And Hockenberry's doing everything in his power to make John Edward look like the biggest fraud, phony, fake idiot on the planet. And I was like, oh my God, that would have been my introduction to the TV watching world. And it wouldn't have done a bit of good to have this interview. And the guys on the other side went, told you was going to be glad you missed it.
And see, that's something John Edwards can handle because he's been around for a while.
Yeah. And, we have to understand they can see a lot further down the road than we can.
Yes.
And, if something that we desire so strongly like that, and we're told no, we have to understand there's a reason for it. So that, again, that trust factor comes in there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that story. I know you had a question and I cut you off earlier.
I will.
Did you lose it?
Yeah. We're just in
It'll come back.
Oh, it definitely does. It's like, I don't know, that was in some floor back there.
Well, I started talking when I realized that you wanted to talk.
It's okay.
It'll come back. It'll come back.
Right. Well, along these lines, I really have found in my own personal experience that timing is so significant. And when we get caught up in our dreams or our pursuits or what we think that is that we want, we like collide with the universe's time or time, or just even the time when that right opportunity is going to line up. And deepening that trust. I remember way back like many years ago when I was like, what's intuition? I need to help develop my intuition, like these practical intuition books, just like primary things. And there's one thing that's there's lots of things that are important, but having patience and understanding it's all a process, and there's really nowhere to get. So it's all in enjoying the journey and experimenting and deepening the practice. And I like that you said that, deepening your practice, because you can't know with 3 meditation sessions how to connect with the other side. Now, one thing I can say, you're a natural psychic. Yours just bloomed when you were very young. We hear this a lot with a lot of our guests. And people that don't have that happen may be frustrated with the fact that their gift doesn't look like yours. Gifts like John's got, he just like could hear and see these things when he was 5, and I can't do that, so my gift is not as important. But I'm sure it sounds like your book is saying, no, look, everybody.
Exactly. And what people don't understand, I did have that natural gift, and I did have that natural awakening, and then I took that, excuse me, and studied everything on the planet that I could study for my entire life, practiced every technique I could practice, studied every doctrine I could to find out what worked, what didn't. And so it wasn't just a matter of having that gift. It was a matter of developing that gift to the maximum that I could. So it took work, and it still takes work. It took work my entire life. So that's one thing people have to understand. It wasn't just, oh, John's psychic and that's it. No, there were all these levels that I had to ascend through and still am working to ascend through. And then people also need to understand, people say, well, I wish I had a gift like John, experiences like John. We all have our own levels that we plateau at. So everybody is psychic, but to a degree. And you're going to hit your level at some point, and that's going to be it for you,
Mm-hmm.
But it's up to you to find out what that level is, what that niche is, and how far you can go with that. But anybody that thinks it just comes easy to you and there it is and full blown, blah, blah, blah. No, I studied and I studied and I read and I worked and I studied and I had experiences and I did investigations. And I mean, I put my work into this thing my entire life. And it's something that is just like, you could be gifted to run a 4-minute mile, but if you sit on the couch and watch TV and eat Cheetos all day, you're not going to run a 4-minute mile. Exactly. You got to get out there and sacrifice. You got to eat the right diet. You got to train. You got to strive. You got to sacrifice everything else for that goal. So it's the same thing with the psychic gifts with spiritual tools and techniques. You still have to practice. You still have to work at it. There still has to be that consistency. Yeah. And it's like, okay, I really, really, really want this connection with the other side. My life's in flux right now. I need positive direction. And I'm going to set aside half an hour each night when I get home to meditate. And till I get the answer to this, till I make something happen, hey, Joe, that needs to occur in my life. And then you get home and the friends call up, now let's go to the mall. Well, okay. Well, there goes your meditation session. There goes your progress. There goes your momentum. So if it's important to you, you're going to have to be able to sit down and really commit to it and really, really go through with it. Got a question from Joe there. John, are you able to read someone until they're suffering from depression? Yeah, any psychic should be able to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I like that you said all of that. For me, selfishly, I like that because that's where I'm at in my journey. Mm-hmm. I've taken, courses, read tons of books, done lots of practices.
Right.
I do work myself. And so it's just like a continual study and practice.
Yeah.
And it's something that I know is inside of me. I've had many experiences my whole life. Something I want to strengthen inside of me too, to help other people. Right. And just knowing that, like from someone who has the experience that you do, I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's so fun. Were you going to ask something?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't know. You've got one right on the tip of your tongue. I can see it.
It's been there. I've had this the whole time. It's another question that's kind of for me. What's your feel on Akashic records and people who can access them for information? Do you believe in that?
Well, I kind of do. Yeah, I think there is, possibly this cosmic collection of everything that's happened, throughout history, throughout the world, the universe, and us. It would make sense for that to be there. Mm-hmm. We have to be real careful when we're attempting to access those types of things, because this is where, what's real versus imagination. Mm-hmm. And if we're going in there, oh, geez, I want to find out if I was Napoleon or not, if that's what you're looking for, that's probably what you're going to find. And you should go into any situation with the other side where there's an unknown like that, or where you're dealing with something on such a vast and grand cosmic scale that's such an unknown. You should go in saying, okay, I'm going to go in asking, what can you provide me that makes sense and that's verifiable? Mm. My entire life has been, it's got to work in the here and now. I have to physically experience it. It has to be something my clients can physically experience. Mm-hmm. And that's been the situation with all these things. Other people have seen them with their own eyes. We've videotaped them. We've recorded them. We've audio recorded them. Other people have seen them with their own eyes. It's happened. It's manifested on the physical realm. And that's the thing that I stress to people, is that, yes, there are things that are strictly spiritual, and you're the conduit for that, and you translate that into words or writing or whatever. But the main source that we have to go to is something that will manifest an occurrence on the physical realm so that we can say, dang, that's real. That really happened. You know, I'm sitting here in a closed house, no doors, windows open, no air or heat on, and the door closed by itself. That's a real manifestation. That's something I can hang my hat on.
Yeah.
And so that's been my focus with my clients. My readings have to impact them on the physical realm and make physical changes in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, whatever you experience from the physical realm, or the spiritual realm rather, don't get caught up in this thing where it's just imagination after emotion after this after that. At some point it has to make a physical difference, or a physical manifestation, or a physical connection that lets you know that it's real. You know, otherwise we can concoct all kinds of scenarios where, oh, I was a knight in shining armor in Jesus' time, and I was there at the cross when he died, and I did this and I did that. Maybe I pierced him with a spear or whatever. You know, no, sorry, no. Yeah.
I agree. And that's where my struggle is, because I've had like past life regression readings and Akashic readings, and the information they're giving me, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. But how do I know that's real?
I know. How do you know it's real? Does it ring true? Does it help you in this life? And you know, there's so many unknowns out there in the spiritual realm still. I always tell everybody, I said, look, run like hell from anybody that tells you they know exactly what the other side's like, exactly what the spiritual realm is like, exactly what we don't know. You know, we get these glimpses and we get these bits and pieces of the puzzle to try and put together. And, you know, we get enough to give us some light to move forward and to help us, but we still just don't know. And it's, you know, it's ongoing study.
Did you want to ask your question before we run out of time?
Whenever you ask me that, then I'm like, I'm just all caught up in what he's talking
You told me to go ahead.
I know,
and then
it's
you
true.
forgot your
It
question.
was probably a comment on what he was talking about, and but if I talk long enough, then something comes and so one of the things that I was wondering, John, was, have you had an inspirational teacher, or someone that was gifted within like the realm of the occult, or who's been your inspiration?
My inspiration has been the direct contact I've had with the other side. The more I've looked at people, the more disappointed I've been, because I saw them, you know, preaching one thing and practicing something else, and or doing something that they knew was a falsehood, just for the money or for the ego or the following or whatever. And so I began to look directly to the other side, and I said, okay, when I can find spiritual guidance on the other side that's true, accurate, real, that's what I'm going to connect to, and that's what I'm going to follow. And that's what I've done.
Were there any particular, how did you learn your different methods? Did you just come across them randomly, or?
Well, I
studied a lot of
you know, I studied and read books, and if it worked, I kept it. If it didn't, I tossed it. And I asked the other side to show me things directly that would help me and that would work, such as I passed on in my latest book, The 20 Ways to Increase Your Psychic Abilities. And it's just been a matter of, you know, not being afraid to experiment, and not being afraid to say if something was a lie or an untruth or it didn't work. You know, don't be afraid to do that. You know, there are lies out there. There are untruths out there. You know, there are fake things out there. And don't be afraid to call a spade a spade. Just, you know, it is what it is. And we have to acknowledge that. We have to be willing to go where the truth takes us, and accept that truth when we get there, and adapt our lives to the truth instead of trying to adapt the truth to our lives.
Yes.
So well said.
Jeez, John, you're a breath of fresh air.
Thank you. Bless your heart. Thank you.
So beautiful. So many great things that you shared with us tonight.
Thank
How can we find your newest book?
It's available anywhere online at all the major online booksellers. You can go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Apple Books, and all my books are available there. All three are in print. All are available. All are selling well, winning a lot of awards, for which I'm immensely grateful. So they're available at all booksellers online. And I'm especially thrilled to present this this newest book to people because it's going to help them.
Do you think you'll have a part 2?
I probably will at some point. Yeah. Right now, I've finished my 4th nonfiction paranormal book. It's going back to the storytelling, and that's going to be, it's done. It'll come out in a few months here, hopefully. And that's titled The Crying Tree and the Magic Rock. And then I'm working on my 5th nonfiction book, which is The Cansack Ghost. And it's more true nonfiction paranormal stories in my life. I could just keep writing books forever. I feel like I've had so many experiences. And then somebody asked me here several months back, they said, John, have you ever thought about a novel with paranormal overtones? And I really hadn't. And then all of a sudden, this character dropped into my mind full blown. And so I'm writing a crime fiction novel with paranormal overtones, and the beta readers are telling me they're loving it. So we'll see how that goes down the road. So lots of stuff in the works.
Paranormal. That is like double whammy goodness.
There you go. There you go.
I'm so excited for that. You have several websites. You want to give us your main one so people can
Yeah, the main one, if you're interested in a psychic reading, you can go to johnrussell.net. And then if you want to know more just about my books, go to johnrussellauthor.com.
Oh, so many good things to share. And we're like literally out of time, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
How 2 hours just flies by.
It goes by too fast. Yeah, it goes by too quickly.
It really does. But I am infinitely grateful for you reaching out and having a desire to be on Soul Wanderings again. It means a lot.
It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Delighted to have you. Your energy is contagious. And it's just been such a great time learning from you.
Thank you. Thank you. Down the road, we'll do it again.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yes. Yes.
We're all about authentic connections and hanging out with beautiful people. So good. And listeners, thank you all for your participation and hanging out on all of the platforms under KGRA Digital Broadcasting. If you want to learn more about myself and Natalie, you can visit kgradb.com, go to the shows and hosts over to Wednesday, and scroll down to the bottom of Soul Wanderings. You can also visit soulwanderings.com and connect to all of our social media platforms from there. A big shout out to our producer tonight, Chanel, and of course, Natalie and John.
Thank you so much.
Have a beautiful night, everyone. Until next week, be good to yourself and be good to each other. Good night.
Have a good one.